So I'm Tony with half-assed DIY, where I don't do anything slow and I don't do anything fast, but everything I do is half-assed. So today I'm changing out the blades on a Toro zero-turn mower. It's a Time Cutter, 42-inch zero-turn, and the blades were bent pretty good on it. The owner is actually my next-door neighbor, and periodically I'll help him out and work on it. And he had the reason the blades were bent was because the deck had rusted through on the rear hanger, and the rear hanger ripped off the deck, which caused the left side to drop down and hit the dirt, and of course, you know, the blades turned and caused them to bend. So he brought it to me to see if I could weld that back up for him, which I did already before I started this video. I ran into some issues with my phone stand, or my tripod for my camera making videos, so I had to get another one, so I missed a little bit of footage on that, but got all that welded up and went on ahead, and in this video you saw me change the blades. Another thing that you'll notice in this series of videos is I demonstrated where when you tried to shut it off, it would only ground out one coil and wouldn't go ahead and completely turn the motor off. And unfortunately, I didn't capture the repair for that either. What I did is take the panel off that houses the ignition switch, and I was just ohming out the wires looking for ground. And in doing that, I realized that connection was a little bit corroded. I really didn't think that was the problem, so I cleaned it up and plugged it back in. And then sure enough, when I got done doing that, it started right up and would die, and everything started working fine. So I didn't catch that part because I didn't realize I was fixing it at the moment. But that's how it goes. You know, electrical is kind of crazy on how that stuff works sometimes. And something as simple as not having a good connection can cause some really strange stuff to happen. So it wouldn't ground enough to kill both coils, but it ground enough to kill one, and motor would just keep running. So got all that taken care of and went and did some mowing with it, and mower ended up doing good. I adjusted the deck height slightly on one side. It was a little bit low. Probably should have videoed that, but I did that in the middle of mowing, just had the wrench with me and made some tweaks on it as I was going around the yard. But it's done, turned out really good. So this will give you an idea of how to change the blades out on a Toro zero turn, and even a little snip of, you know, where I had to weld a portion on it where the center divider had torn loose and was hanging down a little bit, and I had to push that back in place, clamp it, and weld it in so that the blade wouldn't hit that when it was on. The old blades were worn pretty good on the edges, so they weren't hitting on those corners. With the new ones, they had good, you know, creased, you know, sharp corners on the ends of the blades instead of being rounded off, which made them hit where that divider had come loose from the edge of the blade. So all that's welded up and good to go. So anyway, hope you get a little bit of something out of the video, and I appreciate you watching Half-Assed DIY. Thank you. Zero-turn mower, Time Cutter, with a 42-inch deck on it. And we're going to change the belt. Change the belt and the blades and a few other things on it. And this is a 5/8. Get these off. Got all kinds of stuff over there.
I do like to work with the radio playing in the background. I don't have any control over what songs are played or what commercials come on in the background, and I don't own any of the rights to any of the music or commercials that are being played. What I thought was Teflon tape was actually a plastic bag that somebody had run over in the past and had wrapped up around the spindle. A plastic bag was also wrapped around the other side that had formed into a hardened plastic disc that I'll show you a little bit later in the video. I just walked in the garage and grabbed a pick so that I could get underneath the plastic and pull it off the spindle.
They're in that red, one of my new red toolbox cabinets.
My youngest son's working on a project also behind me, so he was asking me where some tools were.
see that. Looks like it had a grocery sack or something that got wrapped up under it and all melted into one piece. So there's your new blade. There's your old blade. So she's worn pretty good. You can see across it is bent pretty good too, both sides.
I realized I'd initially set the blade upside down, so I pulled it back off and turned it back over correctly. You always want to have the bent side of a mulching blade facing up so it'll lift the grass as you're cutting, and then it'll fall back across the blade and continue cutting the grass up into smaller and smaller pieces, which is what makes your mulching ability out of a lawnmower blade. The proper torque spec on the blades is 5 Ugga-Duggas with a 1/2-inch drive impact gun.
If I remember right, he has 2 different spindles on here.
At some point, someone's changed one of the spindles on the mower, and it's a little bit shorter than the other one. The left side, to me, is a little bit smaller than or a little bit shorter than the right side, and I could tell the difference in the 2 blade alignments, that one of them was higher up than the other. I ended up going back and putting a washer actually on top of the blade so it would lower it down a tiny bit so where they would both match up and it would cut evenly. The centerpiece on the deck that kind of splits the 2 blade housings had come unwelded at the on the left side, and the new blade, being unworn, was a little bit longer than the old blade, and it actually hit where that piece had come off. So later in the video, I'm going to weld that up and repair it. Right now I'm taking some channel locks and just bending the corner that had been up and out of place and trying to straighten out that metal before I weld it in place to get it all laying down correctly. So where the corner had been bent in before, after I took the channel locks and straightened it up, it left a crease. So I had to take a hammer to knock that crease out to get everything laying down flat before I weld it together to make sure that blade doesn't hit anymore. So now I'm grabbing the leads from my MIG welder and setting them up to get ready to make the final weld and repair it.
See if you can see what's going on here. This piece, let's see if I can get it where you can see the camera. Right here, it's just barely missing that blade. So I'm going to draw this up a little tighter and then weld it in there tight where it won't hit.
So now I'm grabbing a pair of channel locks so I can lock on to the metal and clamp it in place prior to making the final weld.
Take care.
A friend of ours had swung by and visited with my wife and was leaving and told me goodbye. She didn't realize I was filming at the time. I didn't have a good ground, so I couldn't get an arc struck, so I had to readjust my ground. And keep in mind, anytime you're welding, you should probably put on the proper PPE. In this case, I'm not. It's a quick weld, and it's 90-something degrees outside, so I just went on ahead and made the weld. But pay attention that I did make sure that I had on socks with my Crocs to protect my feet. Now I'm grabbing my grinder to clean up the weld, and you can hear me in the background removing a cutoff wheel and putting a grinding wheel on.
Firecracker right here.
So now moving on to the belt replacement. You got to take the covers off of the pulleys for the blades to access the belt. So you'll see me removing those on the process, and then I'm going to compare the belt just to make sure it's the same size as the OEM one, and then I'll swap it out. While you have the covers off the pulleys, it's a good time to get all the old dead grass and stuff that's accumulated under there and throw it away so it doesn't create a point of holding moisture and causing the deck to continue rusting out.
So this belt was about gone. There. I'll make sure these are the same. They are.
So while I didn't put it in this video, you'll notice at the bottom of the deck the hanger that I had to weld back onto the deck for this job. I mentioned at the beginning of the video that this all kind of started where that hanger broke and the deck dropped to the ground and bent the blades, and led to some of these issues for the maintenance that we're doing today. This is where my old age is kind of showing and catching up to me. Not only do you notice that I grunt and groan every time I squat down and stand up, but also I'm having a lapse in memory of the correct belt routing on that. It took me a minute to remember how it's supposed to go around the pulleys and come in between the idler and the tensioner pulley to work correctly on the deck of the mower.
Ready to go. So another problem that I've got to fix on this thing, I'm getting ready to put the deck back under it, so I pulled the mower back around. But check this out, it's kind of neat. First time I've seen one do this. See the difference? That's off. That's on. That's off. Plug wires. Notice there's no difference when I do that on this side. But if I come to this side, it'll die. So it's grounding out one coil but not the other when you turn the key off. So I'm gonna figure out what's going on with that as well. So the way these hang, back off of here, throw my stand down. So you've got your bar going across, and you've got a hook. Let's see if you can even see it. There's a hook right there that hooks onto that bar. So what we got to do, see if I can do this with one hand, is pull the bar and then set it down. And you can probably see across that side where that hooks on the bar, and now that hooks on the bar. And then I'll take this front one. See where it has a piece right there. Let's see if I can get this where you can see it. I don't know if you can see this or not, but we're gonna try it. See, pick up a little bit, shove that through. Got a washer goes on, and your length pin. Voila, the deck is back on now. Now we just gotta do the belt. Belt's gonna come through here. Alright, I probably ain't strong enough to fight that tensioner pulley without both hands, but let's see what I can do here. Ooh, that exhaust's still hot. Ugh. Let's see here. I can get it started and roll it. Maybe. I'm gonna have to undo it from the deck, isn't it? Let's see. I don't know if that might be easier than doing it this way. What can I do? Get that to go a little simpler. I need a way to lock that open. I'm going to take that off the tensioner pulley. Put it on here first. And we can come back over here. Alright, let's see if I do it that way, are you? Yeah. Let me get both ends free here and see what I can do. Alright, so I couldn't do it without freeing up both hands and setting the phone down, but there it is on the inside, and it runs all the way back around both blades. So she'll be good to go. So here's kind of a progression of the test run after I got done working on everything. And in this video, I was coming towards the camera, so the discharge was away from the fence, and then the left side of the deck would be the one that was towards the fence. So you can tell that the right side was extremely low, and that's, keep in mind, the left side was the one that already had the blade cutting high, and I'd put a washer under it to help bring it down some to get them level, but still the deck was lean, and I'm sure that's because of the back piece ripping off of it that I had to weld on. It had to be adjusted to count, I'm sure it wasn't in the same spot it was in the factory. So you can tell as I progressed through it, I made a couple of passes, and then the third pass, you can tell that I had slightly lowered down that left side, and it was closer, but it wasn't quite right. So I made another pass right here and lowered down the left side just a hair more, and you can tell it was almost there. So then the next pass, I lowered the left side down just a tad more, and I probably should have got video of that. I just had the wrench with me on the mower tweaking it, but I'll make another one in the future showing how to do that. But that time it was right on the money, and you can tell on the rest of the yard, it was all nice and even. Made a really pretty cut for the rest of it. So that's the final products of new blade, new belt, welding up the deck correctly, and then repairing the start and stop feature on the motor. The starter solenoid was also bad on it. You'd have to jump across it. I changed the starter solenoid. All that again was before I started videoing this. So hopefully in future videos I'll show things like that. This is only the second video I've ever made for YouTube. People have been telling me for a long time I ought to start making some YouTube videos, and I figure what the heck, I'll give it a try and see what happens. So here I am. But hopefully everybody got something out of that. Appreciate you watching.